There's more to what just happened in that courtroom than just news, so stop scrolling. Real-time history is being torn apart. Picture reporters yelling, cameras flashing like lightning, and a shivering sun pointing the finger at the man the world once referred to as the King of the South. King Harris did more than simply testify. He exploded. And he dropped the bomb, leaving the whole kingdom of his left eye in ashes. Rappers are immediately calling the FBI's leaked video the most startling thing they have ever seen. Think about it. On the interrogation table, King Harris slammed his hands. Deathly clear, yet a breaking voice. My father was the one. I was coerced. The anarchy, the guns, the narcotics. He did it all. The resulting hush was as heavy as chains. Was it really me who used his own blood as a pawn, T? To maintain the cleanliness of his crown, did he forfeit his son's freedom? This is more than a controversy. The use of federal receipts is a Shakespearean treachery. Loyalty to family broke down. One live on stream dynasty collapse. The internet battle is already underway. King is a hero, according to some. He was called a traitor by others. But there is one indisputable fact. The royal family of hip-hop is currently being torn apart. The footage is still being recorded. The air in the courtroom was oppressive, full of expectancy as all eyes were on King Harris. Once derided as a pampered celebrity kid who flaunted his Instagram life and flashed chains, the boy was now the star witness in a case that could permanently destroy his father. His words caused the illusions of empire, family, and allegiance to shatter into 1,000 fragments. In addition to testifying, he also admitted, not about the atrocities he committed, but rather the crimes his father made him commit. The illicit funds, the firearms, and the drugs, that was not my empire at all, he claimed. His eyes were the empire, and he had been used as a scapegoat. The world paused because such a betrayal was not meant to take place in a federal courtroom. It served as the basis for both Shakespearean tragedies and films. Yet here it was, playing out in real time. Let's go back in time because this took time to develop. It has been years since this explosion occurred. Cracks might have been seen forming by anyone who paid attention. For a while, King Harris had been acting irrationally in public. Traffic stops, altercations in waffle shops, live streaming in which he mocked his detractors, and flashing piles of cash as if he were in charge of Atlanta. Fans made fun of him, critics cautioned him, but there was a deeper voice from insiders. Not that the child was playing gangster, he was prepared for it. The first significant domino effect was the BMW crash in 2022. Gun on his hip, marijuana in the car, and an outstanding warrant for court skipping. Everyone dismissed it as the mistake of another naive, wealthy child. When that video is shown alongside his FBI interrogation, however, he no longer appears to be a pampered adolescent. A cover-up appears to be just getting started. It was a well-planned plot in which a son was made to bear the faults of dad. Remember the meltdown at Waffle House? As if he controlled the streets, King Harris would yell at employees, wave cash, and threaten random people. It went viral at the time because, for the wrong reasons. His reputation as a trust fund-using phony thug was ridiculed by fans in the comment sections. Even though I was a disgruntled father of an out-of-control child, I went live and shook his head. The twist is this, though. What if King was contributing to the kingdom his father had established, rather than using it as a platform to further his personal ambitions? According to conspiracy theories that are already piecing together the clips, King was brought up to normalize the mayhem and was taught to wear the mask as his father worked behind the scenes. And the narrative takes a very dark turn when you connect those dots, since we shouldn't sugarcoat things. Not only was Teddy controversial, for many years, he was a living scandal factory. Firearms, jail time, dubious transactions, and unfounded charges. Every time he strutted freely, revealing another platinum record, smiling for the cameras, and flexing as if nothing had touched him. Fans applauded him for being untouchable. Concerns regarding backdoor negotiations and industry protection were raised by critics. King Harris was growing up in the spotlight, taking in every lesson about surviving in a society where wealth was more important than morality. It has a poetic quality. When the limelight grew too bright, the man who reportedly made his fortune on platinum songs and street cred made his own kid bear the dirt. It became indisputable after FBI footage was disclosed. King avoided stuttering in that chilly interrogation chamber. Imagine how heavy those words were. It was my dad. He made me do it all. He slapped his palms on the table. No faraway rumor, no envious rival, no clickbaiting blogger, just a son exposing a father. Blood was involved. Blood giving evidence against blood. Absolute betrayal. The internet exploded. There was a surge in hashtags. On TI Exposed, what forced by father harmed King Harris. Truth fans were divided into two camps. Half hailed the king as a hero, the first child to bravely burn down the dynasty that had been poisoning the culture for years, while the other half screamed that he was a snitch and the ultimate traitor who had broken the cardinal rule of loyalty. Then came the receipts, which included not only the interrogation clip, but also transcripts that were leaked online, creating a picture so bleak that even the most ardent supporters found it difficult to defend. According to King, "My father told me if I ever got caught, I had to take the fall," during one conversation. He claimed that I was only the front and that the empire needed to endure. Those words turned into TikTok audios with millions of views, were quoted on every blog, and were discussed in every live stream. They spread like wildfire. King Harris was transformed overnight from a pampered star child. On one side of the internet, he was a Judas, and on the other, a whistleblower. And the family was falling apart. The matriarch Tiny, who had supported T. Did Die through one incident after another, allegedly broke down when the video came to light. According to friends, she raged at Ty, blaming him for causing their son to have a bad dream. When relatives and cousins went live on Instagram, some criticized King as a traitor, while others defended him as the only person with the courage to speak the truth. Screenshots purportedly leaked from family group chats depicted pandemonium, disputes, accusations, and silence from Ty. Then came the mysterious Instagram story, a blank screen that read, "Loyalty is tested when pressure is applied." Did his son feel threatened? He defended his own behavior. The internet acted without waiting for an explanation. They agreed that it was both, but it was more than just the family conflict that rocked the culture. Rumor had it that this was more than a rap scandal. A federal crisis was at hand. The footage that was leaked revealed much more corruption than anyone had anticipated. King said almost casually, "My dad got people in politics, judges, and police. They're all in on it." It was only 15 seconds of shaky video, but it was enough to spark internet conspiracy theories. The Harris Empire was suddenly more than simply a rap empire. The idea was that it was a criminal organization with top-level protection. Transcripts, emails, and wire transactions connecting law enforcement, T, and Idaho politicians were allegedly in the possession of anonymous sources. It's both disturbingly believable and absurdly bogus. But the empire had already been buried by perception, and perception is everything. It had immediate repercussions. Events were canceled. Sponsors are not showing up. He was being silently followed by radio stations. Using cryptic tweets, collaborators are separating. Even comedians, who used to make fun of the Harris family, now tread gingerly because they are scared to say too much. The brand was radioactive. What's the empire was more than just crumbling. At that moment, it was falling apart. Amidst everything, King Harris remained silent on social media, shielding himself from the world he had just destroyed. It was more silent than any live stream to a child who used to live online. The actual query then erupted at this point. Did King Harris truly make a confession, or was he just being used like a pawn once more? Like gunshots in a trap house in Atlanta, theories were flying. He was allegedly coerced and intimidated by the FBI into accusing his father. Others said he finally broke after years of keeping quiet and spoke the truth. However, the terrifying hypothesis was that this was all a part of a larger breach that was still to come. That the video we watched was just a small portion of the whole picture. Hackers claimed to have dark data, or black files, that might expose not only TDI but also executives, politicians, and law enforcement that had supposedly shielded him for decades. The internet prepared for the possibility that a single leak may destroy a dynasty, and that a second breach could destroy the entire system. Within 24 hours, the rumors concerning the black files became obsessions. They weren't just waiting on social media. It seemed as though they were counting down to the release of a series on Netflix. Memes were all over Twitter. The clock is going off. Photoshopped FBI logos on record covers. Icons of Judas were spliced into the visage of King Harris. Everyone was curious about what those files that hackers said would destroy the empire contained. Then it was done. At 3 in the morning. Then it was done. At 3 in the morning. As the majority of Atlanta slept, the first batch was dropped by a shady account. Secured emails, scratchy voice notes, and grainy screenshots purporting to be from Ted One himself. The information presented in the files was reminiscent of a criminal thriller. Bilateral accounts in Panama and Belize. Wire transfers that are ostensibly for tour costs. Encrypted text to a person who was only preserved as Judge X. And last but not least, a fuzzy staged shot. A table with heaps of cash. bags that appeared to be sealed evidence. Many people swore that the guy in the corner watching everything happen was King Harris himself. The truth is in receipts. The fans let forth a yell. Skeptics answered, Photoshop, forgeries, fan fiction. The problem is this: public opinion prevails over evidence in this case. Perception has already claimed T's crown. Was I at fault? Not all of the empire was falling apart. The real-time implosion was happening. There was a murmur of pandemonium from inside the Harris mansion. Insisting on knowing who had deceived him, I paced the hallways, little crying and telling others. I warned him. He was not prepared for this life, I informed him. He is currently pulling us all down. And the king remained quiet. The young person who used to be obsessed with Instagram live streams was no longer there. Not a single post or story. Louder than any words, his silence screamed. The business, meanwhile, felt the shakes. Venue canceled shows. Contracts were ghosted. In a discreet manner, radio stations stopped playing Teddy music. Even former partners began cleaning up their social media accounts, removing pictures, and behaving as though they had never done anything together. Him. Nobody wants to be caught in the blast radius, an unidentified producer told TMZ in a whisper. Overnight, the Harris brand went from royalty to radioactive, and the internet became a virtual battleground. King Harris was referred to as a traitor by half of the fans. As Snitch Jr., he was teased by memes. He was teased by TikToks for sobbing in the interrogation chamber and folding under duress. He was hailed by the other half as the boldest young hip-hop artist and a whistleblower. Shakar Saving King, Tanda Truth Hurts, and John Forced by Father were among the hashtags that they used to flood comment sections. Not even celebrities could remain silent any longer. The leaks became more sinister. One A-list rapper posted on Twitter, "This industry has been dirty. Y'all are just late to the party." Another reality TV star added, "Praying for that family. Money can't buy peace." Even comedians, who are typically brutal, stepped carefully because this wasn't funny anymore. This was dangerous. Go down. "The empire must survive through me," he informed me. He made me carry everything, so he would appear tidy. The internet doesn't miss an opportunity to turn pain into jokes, and that one line set the internet on fire. It wasn't just betrayal anymore, it was grooming. A father was accused of using his son as a human shield and sacrificing him to protect himself. The hashtags Darmabraham and Isaac and Sacrifice, these untrended. However, beneath the memes was a chilling question. Was this really how far I had gone to protect his empire? Conspiracy threads delved deeper. T-Dye's old interviews, in which he boasted about beating charges and smirked about knowing people in high places. Suddenly, those weren't just cocky lines. They were smoking guns. Fans analyzed every word, pause, and smirk, connecting that painted T. I am not a rap mogul, but a kingpin hiding in plain sight. The Harris family's silence only made matters worse. There was no clear statement for days, no press conference, no denial, just cryptic posts and leaked screenshots. And in that silence, the internet told its own story, with theories ranging from shocking to outrageous. Some claimed that I had politicians on the ropes, while others swore that the real Black Files contained evidence of violence, cover-ups, and possibly even murder. Act 2 of the story took place in the courtroom, with cameras flashing as T.I. entered, stone-faced and attempting to project control. But the silence inside was oppressive. The prosecution wasted no time in rolling the clips one by one, and King said in the interrogation room, "It was all my dad." Each exhibit features a fuzzy staged photo of mounds of cash, with King mumbling about judges and politicians in the transcripts. The jury shifted in their seats. Tiny buried her face in her hands. Fans outside screamed, their chants echoing through the walls of the courthouse. And then came the twist no one saw coming. Midway through the trial, hackers released another wave of emails, wire transfers, and what they claimed were recordings of Tsai himself ordering shipments. Were they real? No one knew, but by then it didn't matter. Public opinion had already made up its mind. The man who had been heralded as the King of the South was now depicted as the kingpin of corruption. Outside the courthouse, chaos broke out. Protesters clashed. Police used riot gear. Graffiti was sprayed across walls. King betrayed. T fell. There was blood on his hands. And Atlanta wasn't just shaken, it was burning. His eyes swelled, his voice cracked. But his words remained steady. "If I get caught, I have to fall alone," he said. "But I can't carry it anymore." The room froze. Reporters dropped their pens. The jury gasped. And he roared across the courtroom. His voice drowned out by chaos, and bailiffs swarmed him, dragging him down as the judge screamed for order. It was the ultimate breaking point, a king stripped of his throne, undone not by enemies, but by his own blood. The chaos in the courtroom didn't stop there. It multiplied. The cameras continued to roll. The jurors sat pale and appalled, and the entire internet froze in collective disbelief. A king of hip-hop dragged down in chains, screaming at his own son. Harris, shaky but unflinching, had already made history. This was no longer just a trial. This was a public execution of an empire. The prosecution leaned into the chaos, replaying clip after clip. King's words during the interrogation, "It was all my dad." The blurry photos of cash and evidence bags. The leaked black files, every piece stacked like bricks in a coffin. Jurors didn't need any more persuasion. The writing was already on the wall. Guilty or not, perception had nailed that eye to the cross. Outside, Atlanta was in flames. Protesters clashed in the streets, one side yelling, "Free T.I.!" The other side chanted, "Justice for King." Police in riot gear lined sidewalks. Helicopters hovered overhead and around the globe. Hashtags trended, "Not father versus son dar T.I. on trial." Was saving King, empire, and ashes. TikTok skits recreated King's courtroom testimony. YouTubers analyzed the black files like they were holy books. Pop culture had transformed tragedy into entertainment, and the Harris family was the stage. Then came the bombshell. No one was prepared for the third leak. Hackers released a recording purportedly of T. I'm talking about how to permanently silence witnesses. The internet went crazy. Murder cover-ups. Theories that the Harris Empire was more than just drugs and corruption. It might have blood on its hands. Comment sections became war zones. Try that when it is finished. They want him off. Others pressed. Tiny sobbed in the corridor, telling friends that her family was shattered. Cousins went live on Instagram, spouting hate at King and accusing Snake of betraying him. One uncle said that King had been bought off by competitors. Screenshots of the world held its breath as the verdict came faster than anyone could have predicted. 8 hours of jury deliberation, a record for a case this big. Teddy slumped in his chair, face frozen, empire shattered. King buried his face in his hands, sobbing uncontrollably. Tiny screamed. Fires lit up the night as police clashed with mobs. But the real dagger came moments later. As guards escorted T away, shackles clinking, he turned to his son one last time. His voice broke, but his words went deeper than any verdict. "You killed me, boy. You killed your own father." The ensuing silence was deafening, and King's sobs reverberated throughout the courtroom. The cameras caught it all, and the image, a father dragged away in chains, a son broken on the ground, became the trial's defining photograph. However, the fallout didn't stop with the Harris family. Within days, subpoenas flew like bullets. Careers collapsed, deals fell through, entire institutions were under investigation. One senator resigned, a music executive disappeared from social media, and the entertainment industry braced for a reckoning. This wasn't just about Ty anymore. This was a political earthquake. For weeks, no one saw him. His social media accounts went dark. Photographers circled his last known locations, but he was a ghost. Fans argued endlessly, was he a hero or a traitor? Did he save himself or destroy his bloodline? For millions, King Harris became the most controversial figure in hip-hop history. He was sentenced to life without parole. Insider reports say he rarely spoke, hardly ate, and stared blankly at the wall of his cell. Guards whispered. He muttered the same words over and over. They said, "Blood of mine, blood of mine." An individual who had previously held the title of King of the South and commanded stages was now reduced to the status of inmate number 45731. The justice of the world was in place. It was entertaining to browse the internet. King Harris, however, believed that innocence was the price of justice. He lost more than simply a dad. He became an outsider. All of my childhood memories of concerts, grids, and laughter have been tainted. He ruined the guy who gave him life, as evidenced by every headline, meme, and repetition of his testimony. People are unable to stop talking about that disaster. People are unable to stop talking about that disaster. It wasn't only the fall of Ty or the end of a dynasty. The image was etched in history. A father shackled, a son in tears, and a family permanently split apart. People refer to the king as a serpent or a hero. Whatever your stance, there is one indisputable fact. Never again will hip-hop be the same. The world witnessed the implosion live, and the Harris name, once royal, is now ashes. External foes may not necessarily bring down empires. Sometimes they fall apart due to internal betrayal. In this instance, it wasn't competitors. The police weren't there. It wasn't politicians. The substance was blood. The family was involved. Looking into his father's eyes, the son made the decision to put allegiance aside in favor of truth. The trial is over. It was the end of the dynasty. And there's still the lingering question, did it make sense? And now we are. The dust has landed, but the scars will never go away. An imprisoned parent, a perpetually broken son, and an empire shattered into pieces. In your opinion, was this treachery at its most perverse? Or was it justice? Was a lifetime of deceit avoided by King Harris? Or had he destroyed his own lineage, the ultimate sin? For this is the harsh reality. There was more to this than tea. This was about devotion, power, corruption, and the cost of surviving in a society where being famous is only a mask. The FBI leaks revealed more than just a man. A system was made public. How many judges, businessmen, and politicians weren't on it? How many more names are awaiting release in those black files? What is now happening to King Harris? That is the most important question. Is he a whistleblower who turns into a legend? Or will he always be seen as the son who brought his father to prison? Is the industry going to welcome him or banish him? Don't pretend either. How come the truth hasn't even come out yet? Could it be that this was only the opening act? I'll let you handle it. Comment below. Are we talking about a serpent or a hero? Has he become the next casualty of a self-destructive system? Or did I deserve this fate? No response is secure. No viewpoint is unwelcome. We deliver the mayhem they attempt to conceal. If you thought the narrative was crazy, keep reading to find out what happens next. So hit the like button, subscribe, and enable notifications. It is not the end of the truth. I assure you that you do not want to miss the next leak, which could happen at any moment.